The ground trembles beneath a steel titan weighing 40 tons. Its engine roars like thunder across the scarred landscape, crushing everything in its path. This is not just a machine. This is terror incarnated in metal, oil, and fire. Throughout the 20th century, certain tanks didn't just participate in warfare. They redefined it, reshaping battlefields and breaking the spirit of armies that dared to stand before them. When the First World War descended into the nightmare of trench warfare, millions of men found themselves trapped in mud-filled graves, unable to advance, unable to retreat. Machine gun nests turned no man's land into a cemetery. Artillery transformed entire forests into splinters. Barbed wire made movement impossible. Then, on September 15, 1916, something emerged from the morning fog at the Battle of Flers-Courcelette that would change warfare forever. The British Mark I, a lumbering beast of riveted steel plates, crawled forward on caterpillar tracks, crushing barbed wire beneath it like thread. German soldiers stared in disbelief as bullets bounced harmlessly off its armor. The age of the tank had begun. But it was the German Panzer IV that would prove how devastating these machines could truly become. During the Second World War, this medium tank became the backbone of the Wehrmacht's armored divisions. Its 75mm gun could obliterate enemy positions from distances that kept it relatively safe. What made the Panzer IV truly terrifying was not just its firepower, but its reliability and versatility. While other tanks broke down or became obsolete, the Panzer IV evolved, receiving thicker armor and more powerful guns throughout the war. From the wheat fields of France to the frozen steppes of Russia, this machine spearheaded Blitzkrieg operations that shattered entire armies in weeks. Defending soldiers reported the psychological horror of hearing those engines approaching, knowing that conventional anti-tank weapons often proved useless against its sloped frontal armor. Then came the beast that haunted Allied tankers' nightmares. The German Tiger I embodied raw, brutal power in a way no tank had before. Weighing 54 tons and armed with the legendary 88mm gun, the Tiger could destroy enemy tanks from over a mile away, long before they could effectively return fire. Its armor, up to 100mm thick on the front, made it nearly invulnerable to most Allied weapons. A single Tiger could hold an entire roadway, destroying dozens of tanks before withdrawal. Allied tank crews developed tactics based purely on Tiger avoidance. The sound of its Maybach engine became synonymous with death. Despite mechanical unreliability and fuel consumption that limited its strategic mobility, the Tiger's tactical dominance was absolute. Historians estimate that each Tiger destroyed roughly 5 to 6 Allied tanks on average before being knocked out, an exchange rate that proved devastating to Allied armor formations. On the Eastern Front, the Soviets answered with their own legend. The T-34 revolutionized tank design with innovations that would influence armored warfare for generations. Its sloped armor meant that shells often deflected rather than penetrating, providing protection equivalent to much thicker vertical plates. Wide tracks distributed its weight, allowing it to traverse mud and snow that swallowed German tanks. Its diesel engine was more reliable and less flammable than gasoline counterparts. The 76mm gun delivered killing power against most opponents. But the T-34's greatest strength was Soviet industrial philosophy. While German tanks were precision-engineered masterpieces requiring skilled labor and rare materials, the T-34 could be mass-produced by the thousands. Factories in the Urals churned out these machines faster than the Germans could destroy them. Simple, brutal, and effective, over 80,000 T-34s were produced, flooding battlefields with armored firepower that overwhelmed German forces through sheer numbers backed by genuine quality. The evolution continued with the Soviet IS-2 heavy tank, named after Joseph Stalin himself. This monster carried a 122mm gun that could punch through the frontal armor of any German tank, including the mighty Tiger. Its rounds were so powerful they could knock turrets completely off enemy tanks or break them apart through sheer kinetic force. Weighing 46 tons with armor up to 120mm thick, the IS-2 was designed for one purpose: to break through fortified German defensive lines. When IS-2 tanks appeared at the Battle of Berlin, they smashed through concrete fortifications and reduced buildings to rubble, serving as mobile artillery platforms that terrified defending soldiers. Perhaps no tank better represented Cold War armored dominance than the Soviet T-54 and its successor, the T-55. Introduced just after World War II, these medium tanks became the most widely produced tanks in history, with over 100,000 built. They saw combat on every continent except Antarctica, from the Hungarian uprising to Vietnam, from the Middle Eastern wars to African conflicts. The 100mm gun could destroy most contemporary Western tanks. Thick, sloped armor provided excellent protection for its weight class. Simple maintenance requirements meant poorly trained crews could keep them operational. The T-54 earned its fearsome reputation not through individual technical superiority, but through ubiquity and reliability. Entire armies equipped themselves with these machines, knowing they possessed a weapon that could challenge anything else on the battlefield. The Western answer came in the form of the American M1 Abrams, which redefined modern armored warfare when it entered service in 1980. Powered by a turbine engine that could propel 68 tons of armor to 45 miles per hour, the Abrams combined speed with devastating firepower. Its 120mm smoothbore gun could destroy enemy tanks from distances exceeding 2 miles. Advanced composite armor, incorporating depleted uranium, made its frontal arc nearly impenetrable to most anti-tank weapons. Sophisticated fire control systems allowed it to engage targets accurately while moving at high speed across rough terrain. During the Gulf War, Abrams tanks achieved kill ratios that seemed impossible, destroying hundreds of Iraqi T-72s while suffering almost no losses from enemy tank fire. Thermal imaging systems allowed American crews to see through darkness and sandstorms, spotting enemy positions long before Iraqi tankers even knew Americans were present. The psychological impact was crushing. Iraqi tank crews faced an enemy that could kill them from invisible positions, that could fight effectively day or night, and whose armor their weapons could barely scratch. These steel behemoths share common elements that made them battlefield dominators. Each combined 3 critical factors: firepower capable of destroying any threat they faced, armor sufficient to protect against enemy weapons, and mobility to position themselves advantageously. Beyond technical specifications, they succeeded through combined arms integration, working alongside infantry, artillery, and air support. Their crews were trained to exceptional standards, understanding that the best tank is worthless without skilled operators. Most importantly, these machines created psychological effects that transcended their physical capabilities. The mere presence of Tigers forced Allied commanders to alter entire battle plans. The rumble of T-34 engines signaled to German soldiers that the tide had turned. The thermal sights of an Abrams meant death arriving from nowhere. Tank warfare remains fundamentally about the same principles established over a century ago at Flers-Courcelette: protected mobility and concentrated firepower, breaking through enemy positions that would otherwise be impregnable. From the primitive Mark I to the computerized Abrams, these machines transformed battlefields into arenas where armor, engineering, and human courage determined victory or annihilation. The ground still trembles when they approach, because some weapons don't just fight wars, they define them.